6:21 at the time. In 1948, the NHS was set up to offer free care for all, from cradle to grave. Now, more than 60 years on, you could argue it's a victim of its own success. We're all living much longer, and the health service is struggling to cope.
So the NHS in England is about to undergo some of the most radical reform in its history. One of the biggest changes will be to give GPs more responsibility over budgets. But will that change our relationship with them? Nina Warhurst's been to Trafford, where it all began, to find out.
This leaflet is coming through your letterbox one day soon.
1948, and Trafford General becomes the first hospital to be part of the new National Health Service. Free to all, it would care for all, from the cradle to the grave.
Hi, wonder if I could just have a chat.
But now the government believes only radical change can secure its future, and changes will start in surgeries like this one in Timperley, South Trafford.
What do you love about being a GP?
I love the variety of the work that we do, the different problems that patients bring to you. It's that bond that you make with a family over many years that takes a while to get to, but once you get to that level, the trust is just wonderful. Yeah.
Michael's surgery will be one of 38 that will make up Trafford's Clinical Commissioning Group, or CCG. They'll replace primary care trusts, and every surgery in the country will belong to one. Each will have its own constitution and a board made up of GPs like Michael. They'll decide which medicines and treatments to order in for their area. They'll look at what care should be moved from hospitals and into the community. They'll look at where best to invest the budget. And if Michael's involved at board level, he'll see fewer patients because of his CCG commitments.
Great doctors, great practice.
So what will that mean for patients like Liz? She suffers from angina, diabetes and high blood pressure. She's been going to her surgery in Trafford for nearly 40 years.
I've been very lucky with doctors and specialists and everyone I've gone to. They've been terrific, and I'm still alive.
From next year, GPs in Trafford will decide how Liz's treatment's paid for. Depending on what they decide, she could be entitled to more or fewer visits. And if Michael is appointed onto the board, she'll have fewer opportunities to see her favourite GP.
The hope is that Liz and other patients will only see improvements. Tailor-made care, closer to home, designed by those who know them best. But the fear is that if they're unhappy with decisions made on their behalf, they'll blame those who they have trusted most, their GPs.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Some say the NHS is about to be strengthened to secure its survival, but others say the spirit of 1948 is about to be lost forever. Nina Warhurst, BBC News in Trafford.
Well, that's a little look at how the changes will affect GPs and a little bit about how it might affect you. The BBC's health correspondent Dominic Hughes is going to be explaining more for us later. And Dominic, you really want people to send in questions this morning because there is a lot of concern from people, isn't there?
There is. I mean, these changes are some of the biggest changes we've seen to the NHS in 60 years, in more than 60 years of its history, and people are confused about what it means. I mean, we've seen in Nina's piece there that there is this questions over the relationship with the GP. How is that going to change when it's the GP who, for example, controls the purse strings? So people might be wondering, what new powers does my GP have? Other people have already emailed in, for example, about changes to their ambulance service, you know, as we see restructuring within the NHS. So there are a lot of concerns out there about how these changes are going to work.
And you can hopefully answer some of those.
I will do my level best.
Yes, and just there's two sides. There's GPs and patients. So, I mean, I guess GPs generally broadly in favour of the extra responsibility?
It really depends who you ask. A lot of them like the idea, I think, of having more control over the treatments that they can offer to their patients, but equally they are worried about the extra responsibilities they might find themselves facing in terms of managing budgets. But in truth, a lot of GPs will tell you that the priorities are being still set from the centre. So a lot of this, they will argue that a lot of this sort of rhetoric we hear about control being passed down to local GPs and clinicians being at the centre of decision making, actually a lot of those decisions are still being taken at the centre.
Good. Well, we're going to be talking a lot more about it throughout the morning, and you're inviting people's thoughts because it's all about individual experience, isn't it? Ultimately.
Absolutely, yes. People can get in touch with us through the Breakfast Facebook page or on Twitter and send in their questions. We'll do our best to answer them later.
Good.
Thank you very much. And we should let you know that the BBC is looking at this across the day. today. You can find more details, including how the NHS is changing in other parts of the UK, on our website, bbc.co.uk/NHS.
Still to come on breakfast this morning. Ready, steady.